In January 2017, Derek Williams, a 38-year-old former Marine Corps scout sniper, moved to Warren, Michigan, a suburban community northeast of Detroit. Military records indicate Williams served 8 years in the 1st Marine Special Operations Battalion, participating in classified operations across Afghanistan and Iraq between 2008 and 2016. Following his honorable discharge, Williams chose to pursue a civilian career as an automotive mechanic, leveraging skills he developed maintaining military vehicles during his service. Williams purchased a modest 3-bedroom house with his wife Michelle, a registered nurse at Henry Ford Hospital, and their 16-year-old daughter, Tyra. Using his VA loan and savings, he opened Williams Auto Service on East 8 Mile Road. Local business records show the shop quickly established a strong customer base, with revenue doubling in the first 6 months of operation. By June 2017, the Williams family began experiencing targeted harassment from a local gang known as the Wolves. Police reports and court documents identified the gang's core members as Roy Keller, a former corrections officer at Michigan State Prison, his brother Jack Keller, owner of Uncle Jack's Bar, Mike Higgins, a construction company owner, and Steve Brent, a real estate agent. The group had a documented history of racially motivated crimes dating back to 2012, primarily targeting immigrant and African American families in Warren's Eastern District. Department of Justice records revealed Roy Keller's 2014 indictment for aggravated assault, though he received only probation due to interference from corrupt law enforcement officials, specifically Lieutenant James Morrison and Sergeant Thomas Page of the Warren Police Department. This connection would later be exposed through internal affairs investigations following the events of 2018. The harassment began with systematic vandalism of the Williams property. Insurance claims filed between June and August 2017 documented multiple incidents of broken windows, slashed tires on both family vehicles, and racist graffiti requiring exterior house repainting. In total, the damages exceeded $7,000. Derek Williams filed 6 separate police reports during this period. Detective interviews conducted in 2019 confirmed that Lieutenant Morrison deliberately suppressed these complaints, telling Williams to avoid making trouble in the neighborhood. By September 2017, the Wolves escalated their intimidation tactics. Multiple witnesses provided statements describing members of the Wolves conducting surveillance of the Williams family, though no immediate action was taken by local law enforcement despite repeated reports. The systematic harassment of the Williams family represented a clear pattern of bias-motivated crimes that went deliberately uninvestigated by corrupt elements within the Warren Police Department. Financial records would later reveal substantial payments from the Wolves to Lieutenant Morrison and Sergeant Page, explaining their persistent refusal to investigate crimes against the Williams family and other victims in the area. Local business owners later testified about the climate of fear that the Wolves had created in Warren's Eastern District. Several immigrant-owned shops had closed under similar pressure, while others paid protection money to avoid vandalism. The gang's influence extended through various legitimate businesses, including construction contracts and real estate deals, which they used to launder money and maintain their control over the area. An FBI investigation would later uncover that the Wolves had developed their criminal enterprise over several years, protected by corrupt police officials who helped conceal their activities. The attack occurred on April 15, 2018, while Derek Williams worked a night shift at his auto repair shop, addressing recent vandalism damage. Between 11:30 p.m. and 2:45 a.m., 4 members of the Wolves invaded the Williams residence. Though wearing masks, each attacker left distinctive identifiers that victims later reported to investigators. Roy Keller's pronounced limp from a prison injury, Jack Keller's distinctive neck scar, Mike Higgins's Southern dialect, and Steve Brent's university ring. Hospital records detail severe trauma inflicted on Michelle Williams over a 3-hour period. The medical examiner documented extensive injuries consistent with torture, including broken bones, burns, and internal bleeding. Derek Williams discovered his wife unresponsive upon returning home at 5:20 a.m. Emergency services transported Michelle to Henry Ford Hospital, where she remained in critical condition. During the 3 days before her death, Michelle Williams provided a detailed statement to investigators. She identified all 4 attackers and described their specific roles in the assault. The prosecution would later use this dying declaration as crucial evidence. Michelle Williams passed away on April 18, 2018, from multiple organ failure resulting from her injuries. Tyra Williams, who witnessed the entire attack, provided initial statements to investigators that corroborated her mother's account. Medical records show she began intensive trauma therapy immediately following the incident. However, psychological evaluations indicated severe post-traumatic stress disorder. Despite professional intervention, Tyra's condition deteriorated rapidly. On May 16, 2018, Tyra Williams was found deceased in her bathroom from an intentional overdose. The medical examiner's report indicated she had ingested a lethal combination of prescription medications. A journal recovered from her room detailed the psychological toll of witnessing her mother's torture and her inability to cope with the trauma. The investigating officers initially assigned to the case, excluding Lieutenant Morrison and Sergeant Page, documented numerous pieces of evidence at the crime scene. Forensic analysis revealed blood patterns consistent with prolonged assault, partial fingerprints later matched to the Wolves members, and DNA evidence confirming their presence. Additionally, fibers from the masks were matched to materials later found in Jack Keller's bar. The FBI initiated a separate investigation into the Williams case, bypassing local law enforcement due to suspected corruption. Federal agents uncovered surveillance footage from neighboring properties showing the Wolves members' vehicles entering and leaving the area during the time of the attack. Cell phone records placed all 4 suspects in the vicinity. A subsequent internal affairs investigation revealed that Lieutenant Morrison had received a call reporting suspicious activity near the Williams residence on the night of the attack, but had deliberately failed to dispatch officers. This decision, along with financial records showing payments from the Wolves to Morrison and Page, led to federal charges against both officers for their role in facilitating the crime. Community response to the Williams family tragedy sparked protests against police corruption and racial violence in Warren. Civil rights organizations documented decades of similar incidents that had gone uninvestigated, establishing a clear pattern of institutional failure to protect minority residents from organized hate crimes. Following the funerals of his wife and daughter in May 2018, Derek Williams systematically liquidated his assets. Property records indicate he sold his house and auto repair business significantly below market value for immediate cash transactions. Bank statements show he withdrew all funds and closed his accounts. By June 2018, Williams had effectively removed all traceable financial connections. During his 3-month disappearance, Williams conducted extensive surveillance of the Wolves members, as revealed in his later confession to federal investigators. His military training as a scout sniper in the Marine Corps Special Operations Command proved instrumental in gathering intelligence undetected. Investigation records detail the criminal enterprise structure of the Wolves. Roy Keller maintained employment at Elite Security Services, where he supervised security systems for affluent neighborhoods. This position provided access to residential security codes and patrol schedules. Financial audits later revealed he had disabled security systems during multiple home invasions. Jack Keller's establishment, Uncle Jack's Bar, served as the gang's operational hub. Business records showed consistent cash flow discrepancies indicating money laundering. The bar's basement, discovered during subsequent raids, contained evidence of numerous criminal activities, including documentation of extortion payments and weapons storage. Mike Higgins operated Highland Construction, using the legitimate business to launder money through fraudulent contracts. Forensic accounting revealed a complex scheme of overcharged projects and ghost employees. Building permits and inspection records showed numerous violations overlooked by corrupted city officials. Steve Brent's real estate practice provided the gang with intelligence on potential victims. His access to property records and home viewing appointments allowed the Wolves to identify vulnerable targets. Investigation of his client files exposed a pattern of targeting minority homeowners for harassment, forcing them to sell below market value. Williams's military records, obtained during the investigation, revealed extensive training in surveillance, tactical planning, and covert operations. His expertise included advanced marksmanship, mechanical engineering, and strategic planning. These skills, combined with his automotive knowledge, enabled him to develop sophisticated methods for his planned retribution. During this preparation period, Williams rented multiple storage units under false identities, as later discovered by FBI agents. These units contained detailed maps, surveillance notes, and modified equipment. His methodical approach reflected his military training in mission planning and intelligence gathering. Federal investigators later recovered Williams's planning documents, revealing comprehensive dossiers on each target. These included work schedules, daily routines, security vulnerabilities, and detailed facility layouts. The documents demonstrated a level of tactical preparation consistent with military intelligence operations. The investigation uncovered that Williams had accumulated evidence of the Wolves' previous crimes during his surveillance. His notes documented patterns of extortion, assault, and property destruction spanning several years. This information would later prove crucial in exposing the full scope of the gang's criminal activities and their law enforcement connections. Williams's preparation extended to studying the corrupt police protection network. His notes identified specific officers, including Lieutenant Morrison and Sergeant Page, documenting their involvement in covering up the Wolves' crimes. Bank records later confirmed regular payments from the Wolves to these officers through offshore accounts. On September 12, 2018, Steve Brent was discovered in his vehicle at Warren Mall parking lot. Medical reports documented a single high-precision gunshot wound that severed his spinal cord between the C3 and C4 vertebrae, resulting in permanent quadriplegia. The shot demonstrated professional-level marksmanship, consistent with advanced military training. Under police interrogation, Brent immediately cooperated, requesting witness protection in exchange for information. His testimony provided extensive details about the Wolves' operations, including their connection to corrupt police officials. Investigation revealed that Brent had received a text message directing him to the specific parking spot where he was shot, indicating a carefully orchestrated attack. On September 19, 2018, an explosion destroyed Uncle Jack's bar during operating hours. Fire marshal investigation determined that modifications to the gas line caused a controlled detonation in the basement. The alterations required advanced knowledge of both building infrastructure and explosive mechanics. Jack Keller's body was recovered from the basement storage area, where he had apparently sought refuge. Forensic analysis of the explosion revealed sophisticated tampering with the gas main control system. The perpetrator had redirected gas flow to create maximum explosive force, while minimizing collateral damage to surrounding buildings. This precision indicated extensive planning and technical expertise. The investigation uncovered that before his death, Jack Keller had attempted to access a hidden safe containing incriminating documents. These materials, partially preserved despite the explosion, provided evidence of extensive criminal operations, including protection payments to law enforcement officials. Surveillance of the bar prior to the explosion showed an individual matching Williams's description performing maintenance work on exterior utility connections. Building maintenance records indicated a service call for gas line inspection, scheduled under a false contractor identity. The timing of both attacks demonstrated strategic planning. Brent's shooting occurred during his regular property showing schedule, while the bar explosion coincided with Jack Keller's routine inventory check. This timing suggested intimate knowledge of the target's routines. Following these incidents, federal authorities noted increased activities among remaining gang members. Bank records showed large withdrawals from accounts controlled by Roy Keller and Mike Higgins, indicating preparation for possible escape. Lieutenant Morrison and Sergeant Page began requesting transfers to other departments, demonstrating growing concern for their safety. The execution of these attacks marked a shift from random gang violence to calculated retribution. The precision of the shooting and the technical complexity of the explosion matched Williams's military and mechanical expertise. His confession would later confirm that each attack was designed not only to eliminate targets, but to gather additional evidence of the Wolves' criminal enterprise. This intervention revealed systematic attempts by corrupt officers to obstruct justice and protect remaining gang members. The attacks on Brent and Jack Keller initiated the collapse of the Wolves' criminal network. Brent's testimony and documents recovered from the bar explosion provided federal prosecutors with crucial evidence linking the organization to numerous crimes and corrupt officials. This evidence would prove instrumental in the subsequent trials of both gang members and law enforcement officers. The systematic dismantling of the Wolves had begun, marking the first phase of Williams's calculated revenge plan. On October 3, 2018, Mike Higgins attempted to flee Warren in his newly purchased Mercedes S-Class. Investigation records indicate he was traveling north on Mountain Road when his vehicle experienced complete brake failure. The car plunged off a cliff, resulting in Higgins's death. Recovery teams located the wreckage and his body 2 days later. Automotive forensics revealed sophisticated tampering with the vehicle's brake system. The modifications required extensive knowledge of modern vehicle electronics and mechanical systems. The sabotage included disabled backup systems and compromised electronic brake controls, indicating professional expertise consistent with an experienced mechanic's capabilities. Financial records showed Higgins had liquidated his assets in the days prior to his death. Bank transfers revealed attempts to move substantial funds offshore, suggesting he anticipated potential legal consequences following the deaths of his associates. Documentation recovered from his office exposed the full scope of his construction company's role in the Wolves' money laundering operations. Roy Keller, the last surviving core member of the Wolves, fortified his residence upon learning of Higgins's death. Security company records show he installed additional surveillance systems and acquired multiple firearms. He ceased all outside contact, communicating only through secured channels with his remaining police connections. Despite Keller's precautions, investigators found him deceased in his study on October 15, 2018. The cause of death was a single precision rifle shot, fired from an estimated distance of 800 yards through a narrow window opening. The shot demonstrated exceptional marksmanship skills, requiring calculations for wind speed, distance, and bullet drop. Federal agents searching Keller's residence discovered extensive digital records on his computer systems. The files contained detailed documentation of the Wolves' criminal activities spanning multiple years. This included financial transactions, victim information, and correspondence with corrupt law enforcement officials. Analysis of the data revealed the gang had targeted over 40 families in the Warren area. The recovered evidence proved instrumental in the subsequent prosecution of surviving co-conspirators. Digital forensics revealed that Keller had maintained meticulous records as insurance against betrayal by his police contacts. These files included video recordings of meetings with Lieutenant Morrison and Sergeant Page, documenting their involvement in suppressing investigations and facilitating criminal activities. Investigation of Keller's security company exposed its role in facilitating home invasions. Records showed systematic disabling of alarm systems and manipulation of response protocols during the Wolves' attacks. This evidence confirmed the premeditated nature of their crimes and the extent of their organizational infrastructure. The deaths of Higgins and Keller effectively dismantled the Wolves' leadership structure. Their elimination, combined with evidence recovered from Keller's computers, initiated a broader federal investigation into corruption within the Warren Police Department. Multiple officers were subsequently identified as having received payments from the Wolves. Analysis of ballistic evidence, mechanical sabotage, and tactical execution in both deaths indicated a single perpetrator with military training and automotive expertise. The methodology matched the skill set of a Marine Corps scout sniper with mechanical engineering knowledge, though investigators initially lacked direct evidence linking the deaths to Williams. The concluding events of December 2018 emerged through Derek Williams's detailed confession to federal investigators. Following the elimination of the Wolves' core members, Williams tracked Lieutenant James Morrison and Sergeant Thomas Page to a remote lakeside property, where they had retreated to avoid mounting internal affairs investigations. On December 24, 2018, Williams infiltrated the property using tactical approaches learned during his Marine Corps service. His confession detailed how he disabled the main power supply and security systems. Military records confirmed his training with night vision equipment, which he employed during the operation. Investigation of the crime scene corroborated Williams's account of rigging Morrison's gun safe with explosives. The device was triggered when Morrison attempted to access emergency funds and weapons stored inside. Forensic analysis revealed the explosion was precisely calculated to eliminate Morrison, while containing the blast radius to the study area. Sergeant Page's attempted escape ended when his vehicle crashed through the property's guardrail. Mechanical investigation confirmed Williams's confession about tampering with the brake system. Page's vehicle was recovered from a ravine, displaying the same professional sabotage techniques used in Mike Higgins's death. Federal agents recovered extensive documentation from the property, including financial records, correspondence, and digital files. The evidence revealed years of systematic corruption, with Morrison and Page receiving regular payments from the Wolves. Bank records showed transfers exceeding $500,000 over 5 years for protecting the gang's operations. The recovered documents exposed the full scope of police corruption in Warren. Morrison and Page had systematically suppressed investigations into the Wolves' activities, destroyed evidence, and intimidated potential witnesses. Their files included detailed records of compromised investigations and manipulated evidence. FBI tactical teams apprehended Williams at dawn on December 26, 2018, at a predetermined location he had chosen for surrender. He offered no resistance and immediately provided a full confession. During interrogation, Williams methodically detailed his entire operation, from initial surveillance to final execution. During his trial in March 2019, Williams presented a comprehensive account of his actions. His testimony revealed how he had gathered evidence throughout his campaign, ensuring that his targets' crimes would be exposed even after their deaths. The prosecution presented forensic evidence confirming every aspect of his confession. The jury deliberated for 4 days before reaching their verdict. Despite the premeditated nature of the killings, they considered the extraordinary circumstances of police corruption and the brutal murder of Williams's family. The evidence of systematic criminal activity and law enforcement collusion provided context for his actions. The court sentenced Williams to 30 years in federal prison. His testimony proved crucial in subsequent prosecutions of surviving corrupt officials and associates of the Wolves. The case led to major reforms in the Warren Police Department and establishment of new oversight procedures. Federal investigators concluded that Williams's military training had enabled him to execute a precise campaign of retribution, while simultaneously exposing extensive criminal corruption. His actions, while criminal, dismantled a deeply entrenched criminal enterprise that had resisted previous legal interventions. Williams remains incarcerated, having accomplished his mission of bringing his family's killers to justice while exposing the corrupt system that protected them.